The last place I wanted to be was Frostnipistan.
This One's Wife. All about me. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. We know that it's all about this one's wife. Her narcissism has to make it so. Every camera lens she finds and stares straight down at. Invariably, she leads the wave, trailing Harold behind. That she has to ensure that she's front and centre of every photograph. That if a microphone appears, she tries to grab it so that she can speak. This is all done by her narcissism because it needs her to be noticed. Because to be noticed is to be able to assert control and draw fuel. She is a shameless narcissist that will never stop in her pursuit of the prime aims, and to do so in a manner which is often crass, lacking class. There are narcissists that garner fuel and assert control in a very charismatic manner. They do so in a subtle fashion. They don't stand out as being desperate or thirsty. They do it in a way whereby they're interesting. What they have to say is such that an audience listens, rapt with attention, that they want to hear what this person has to say. Certain narcissists are brilliant orators, able to conjure up images and recall anecdotes and make people laugh. They know how to conduct themselves in public situations, having learned to do so because their narcissism has evolved in that way. But imagine if you will, valuable viewers, dear Tudorites, imagine you have made a speech. Imagine that you hold a senior position. It might be a senior position within a workplace. It might be that you hold a senior position within a government organisation. It might be that you hold a position of seniority within a teaching establishment or within a political framework. Either way, it's expected that people will listen to what you have to say. It's expected that people will have due regard to what you have said. And thus, you deliver your speech. And as customary, you might take a moment to absorb the applause as you stand at the lectern. You might take a moment, perhaps, to point and wave to certain people in the audience, if that is your thing. In other instances, you might just nod your appreciation at the audience's appreciation of you, and then you retire to your seat. Ordinarily, you'd be expected to be able to do that because the moment is yours. You're the one that has given the speech. You're the one that has put the effort in to write what it is that you have written. You're the one that has given the thought. You are the one that has entertained. And therefore, it follows that you should receive the applause and acknowledgement of your audience. However, next to you, there's a narcissist. And that narcissist cannot stand the fact that everybody has just been listening to you. The narcissist doesn't realise that's the case. The narcissist doesn't realise that what's propelling her to intervene is her narcissism. This one's wife believes that when she gets involved, she does it with the best of intentions. And if you were to challenge her about this, if you were to point out to her and say, "Do you realise what you just did was rather rude?" she would look completely confused, because in her world, she believes what she has done was friendly, was supportive, was appreciative, it was nice. I'm a hugger. She doesn't recognise that what she's done is rude and stealing somebody's thunder. She can't see it. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the way that once again this one's wife made it all about me, as she hijacked a speech that had just been given by the Vice President of Colombia. If you haven't seen it, here's the footage for you. Preposterous, isn't it? The Vice President finishes what she has to say, the applause starts, and she looks immediately to sit back down. Oh no, she can't, because immediately a limpet narcissist enters the fray. Oh yes, jumping up and ensuring that she makes the moment not about the Vice President, She makes it all about her. You'll see the Vice President makes to sit down, and immediately this one's wife is up, shaking her hand. Shaking her hand isn't good enough. I need to come in for the hug, and I'll bring Harry into this as well, making it awkward because I don't get out of the way. I'll turn my back on everybody because I'm ill-mannered, and I'll ensure that your speech is taken over by me leaping up into your face and hugging you, and then dragging my husband into it as well. It just demonstrates the way that this woman cannot help herself but make it all about her. As she sits listening to somebody else speak, she can't stand it because the attention, the fuel, is going to someone else. Now, it may well be that the Vice President of Colombia doesn't need this fuel, but the fact is, because she's the one that's receiving the attention, that's problematic to this one's wife. Her facade management is working away hard to ensure that she doesn't do anything whilst the speech is ongoing to upstage. But it's almost like watching somebody who's been bursting for the toilet, who can't move while somebody's speaking, and as soon as they finish, they jump up and leg it to the bathroom. With this one's wife, it's similar. I've had to stay out of the way. My facade management has made me do that. I've had to stay silent. I've had to stay on the sidelines. Right, you finished. Great. I can now get involved and make it all about me. Her narcissism, of course, doesn't say to her, you need to make this all about you now. What it does is it compels her to seek the prime aims by controlling the Vice President and the audience by doing something which she thinks is pleasant, namely shaking her hand and giving her a hug as if to say, well done, your speech was great. I'm sure the Vice President could do without any form of validation from this one's wife. But once again, it demonstrates the haste by which this one's wife's narcissism operates. What would be wrong with just sitting there and applauding? That's what most people would do, but of course, the style of this one's wife's narcissism is such she can't do that. She's not programmed to do that. She can't stay out of the way. She is the bride at every wedding, the corpse at every funeral, and she tries to hijack the speech. I'm surprised she didn't stand up partway through and take hold of the mic and offer her own observations as well whilst the Vice President was speaking. Of course, on that occasion, her facade management prevented her from doing so. Yet at the end of the speech, rather than allow the Vice President to absorb the rightful applause that she receives and then sit down, this one's wife's straight up, making it look like she cares. She doesn't give a rat's ass. She just needs to be in on it to make it all about her. And that short piece of footage demonstrates again the crassness of her narcissism and the desperation by which she has to make it all about her. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for watching.